Okay, YouTube, we're going to go live here in a second. Here we go. Here we go. All righty, welcome to Friday, the Friday before the Super Bowl, right here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. What a great show do I have for you today. A big preview, breakdown, prediction, also some stories surrounding the NFL. Great show for you. One more time, one more last football game to close out this NFL season. It's the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 54, right here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. It's Hanna Time. I'm your host, Cornelius Brad Hanna, coming to you live. And I just got to tell you one thing, though. I don't know who wins the Super Bowl right away. But maybe by the time we finish the show, we can figure out who wins and why. I think I got enough to tell you to give you an idea. But you got to watch and listen to the show to figure it out. I got my opinion coming. I want to hear yours. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Completely here. The itinerary of the show is, for one, is it better to watch the game at a sports bar, at home, a party? Where have you watched the Super Bowl that maybe was a little different, unique, odd, cool, sexy, whatever? How about the NFL's 100 players? This is something that bothered me yesterday when I got the news and found out how and what happened. A faulty, I say, upsetting NFL top 100 players, all-time players, has missed and swung and struck out on a few things yesterday. They're glorifying it, but I tell you one thing: there are names off that list, and it bothers me. Certain positions on the field were ignored. That bothers me. More trash talking around the Super Bowl as we're getting a few more trash talkers from both sides. Got a story about that. Super Bowl sleepers, the key matchups of the game itself. Like I said, we'll talk about that. And the Super Bowl prediction breakdown. Got to say hi to everybody out there. I appreciate you popping in. Kenny Salinas. I got Robert Castillo in the house. Warren, Glenn. Who else is popping in here? I got to say hi to. Yes, it is Corny. Yes, it is Corny. That's my nickname. All right, Eddie in the house. Don says, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Dustin Holmes in the house. Good on. Hey, Dustin. Cesar, Osvaldo in the house. Diana, Adina in the house. Got to say hi to everybody right here. Steven and Dalen and Felix. All right, let's move on. Here we go. Let's find out what I got in store for you. Got to get my microphone all situated here. All right. All right. First topic. Let's get into this right away for fun. Before I get really serious and get intense about some topics about the NFL Top 100, okay? All right, here we go. Better to watch the Super Bowl at a bar, at home, a party, a casino, on the beach, with your device. Have you had sex while watching football? I mean, whatever it is. What is the wildest one? What is the oddest place, location you've had to watch the game, or wanted to watch the game, or did watch the game, the Super Bowl? I know one incident, 8th grade, playing a CYO Catholic Youth Organization basketball game in Brooklyn, and the Steelers are playing the Cowboys in Super Bowl 13. And it broke my heart because I was wanting to watch the Super Bowl like a lot of people, a lot of kids did. And this is probably the only oddest thing I can think of. It's not like hot, sexy casino. I mean, I watch it in casino. I've watched it in a party. I watched it at home. You know, I've never been on the beach watching a Super Bowl. That could be kind of cool. But here it is. Behind the basketball net, there was like a room at the Catholic gym I was playing in. And my dad was at the game and was watching the game. But there was this room with a big TV set. And it was kind of like a TV room. And they had the game on. And I would go up and down the court. And almost every time I got back on defense, or if I got down on offense, you know, I would turn to my dad and go, what's the score? What's happening? He was giving me play, but I couldn't watch the game. I missed the whole entire first half of that game because of my big CYO Catholic Youth Organization basketball game. Um, and there you have it. I got home by halftime, basically, which I was very grateful for. But that was kind of odd and different and unique in a way. I was a young kid. But what was your story? What is the story that sticks out? That sticks out. I'm sure there's one out there I can't think of, but that was a big one. I'm sure if somebody has watched it at a bar, at home, a casino, on the beach, on a mountain, ski slope, maybe in the bedroom with your lady having a good time, whatever. Touchdowns everywhere, right? But is there something different that I like to know about? I would love to know. Super Bowl 54 is Sunday, and a lot of people watching it. A lot of people are going to watch this one. I hope you get the chance to. More people popping in. Got to say hi. I appreciate you saying hello. Um, Robert says, "Oh, he's saying hi, everybody." Robert's back in the house, saying hi to everybody. Appreciate that. Yeah, good morning, Kenny, to you. Super Bowl weekend it is. Sounds dumb, but I prefer it at my home with snow crabs, ribeye. Just enjoy the game, the commercials, control my own home. Sounds good. Of course, that never happens. Always end up at a friend's house at a Super Bowl. And then, what is the best food for a Super Bowl party, a Super Bowl game that you go to, or at home party, whatever it is? Where? What is it? Is it really nachos? Is it the roast? Is it something? Is there a meal going on, or just grilling and watching and drinking? Right? Is somebody putting on a big party with a lot of food? Do you have a good memory of that? Okay. Now the crab legs, not a bad one. Not a bad one. That would be a nice. Probably going to a casino, watching the game, hit up the buffet line, and munch on that. Not a bad idea. There's a lot of casinos all over the country now, but I've done that in Vegas. I did the Vegas thing a few times too. So, all right, let's get back into it right now here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. I got a story for you, and I want you to still think about the party and the game, where you're watching it, and all that stuff. Okay, let's get into that at the more towards the end of the show too. I want to read your comments and see what happens. All right, NFL, faulty mistake. I don't understand this, but I read a report, and it comes from directly from a son of a former great legend NFL player, Garrett Webster. I gotta let Garrett is upset. If you're the son of an all Pro Bowl, Hall of Famer, four-time Super Bowl champion for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and your father gets left off the 100 list of greatest players of all time, that's sad. It's upsetting. But here's the catch that really bothered Garrett Webster. That bothered me when he said this. No way. Why would they ignore that? Like, how can you ignore that position? This is what Garrett said. I'm not going to try to express what he said. I'm going to read it. So this is Garrett Webster posting this. So I'm at the NFL All 100 team dinner and looking at the screen, like on the screen. And he posted these photographs. And on the screen are all these players, the top 100 players, okay? So on the screens, and they list every player that made the all-time team, he says. If you look, you'll notice there is a group of players missing. The only group of players are missing are the centers. So I brought this up to someone who works for the NFL. He's at the dinner. He's at the banquet. He's at the ceremony. Garrett Webster, he flew in from the Midwest, right? The North Midwest. Flew in, representing his dad, the whole thing. Now, if you didn't make the list, that's fine. But when you don't see the center position, the most biggest focal point on any offense, the quarterback of an offensive line, the connection with the quarterback, the anchor of your offensive line, of your offense starts at center. Think about that. So he went and found somebody from the NFL who works for the NFL. His reaction was this. This is what Garrett Webster, the son of Mike Webster. Well, centers didn't do a lot for the game. That was the quote from an NFL person who works for the NFL. He didn't name it, he didn't classify it, he didn't title it, other than working for the NFL. And their response back to him, and I'm is this: centers didn't do a lot for the game. That pissed him off. That pissed me off. I love the center position. Garrett basically went off. Garrett Webster, and rightly so. His father is considered the greatest center of the game. Let's put that in perspective. If you are considered the greatest player at the center position and you don't even make the 100, that's a problem. But when you don't consider the center position doing a lot for the game, then there's some serious ignorance, or somebody is just too ignorant on the NFL who said that. Garrett Webster, in his straight words, man, I'm pissed. The F off at the attitude. Disgusted is not the word I have. This is effing BS. Hashtag NFL. So after everybody's watching and celebrating and looking at all the great 100s and who made it and talking about them, getting the interviews, something's not right. Something's faulty. The NFL is embarrassing themselves. That is a complete embarrassment. There's no way Garrett Webster would have even said this, speak of this, and I'm sure he's not the only one. He literally took photo images of the screen at the banquet of all the players. And if you noticed, none of them were the center position. And then you get the quote from the NFL worker that he approached, doesn't want to name names, he didn't name titles, who just, again, said to him, centers didn't do a lot for the game. I wonder how every great legendary quarterback thinks about that one. Every one of them. I wonder if anybody really noticed that. And there's no way to ignore this story. On the weekend of the Super Bowl, when you are glorifying the greatest players of all time, you're celebrating the game of football. That's what you do at the Super Bowl all week long. The positive light. This is a huge black eye. This is Mike Tyson knocking you out, NFL, because this is embarrassing. And you have a representative saying that. I know what you're going to say, NFL. He doesn't represent what we are or what we really did or why. Explain why those centers were there. Explain why Mike Webster wasn't there. Linemen do not have stats other than today's world with next gen stats about blocking and holding your block and pancakes and whatever it may be. Back in those days, Mike Webster didn't have it, and other great centers, by the way. He wasn't the only great center, but he's considered the greatest of all time, and a lot of people, if not everybody. And you missed it. Not just him, but all centers. Not one was being considered up there. That is a complete embarrassment to the National Football League. That you should be ashamed of yourselves, of all those hardworking linemen that work their asses off, who walk around crippled, broken fingers, legs, knees injuries, growing old that way, mental illness. How about the suffering that Mike Webster went through to be a champion, to be great, to be a Hall of Famer, to be everything, and goes to the mental anguish and suffering that eventually takes his life. That is so frustrating and emotionally upsetting. That alone, thinking about what they go through, but you give it to some prima donna wide receiver, right? Because he catches the football thrown to him, because he's being protected, the quarterback, by a lineman. Nothing goes well if your offensive line doesn't do anything, right? We all know that. We're talking about that every Sunday We're talking about it for the Super Bowl. We're talking about how can the Chiefs hold up that Niner defensive line? How can the offensive line hold up that Niners defensive line? It's a big talk. But somehow we continue to forget and miss and ignore and disrespect the offensive lineman. The most glorified position is the left tackle in the history of the game. The blind side of the quarterback being protected, the tackles. You got to protect the ends. You got to protect the outside rush on the edge. And these great athletic offensive tackles are there. But you better explain to me how, the reason why Tom Brady didn't beat the New York Giants in the Super Bowl twice is what? Coming right up the middle. I'm just giving you examples of just some small stuff that are big, why a center is so big. Gosh. I mean, the Giants bull rushing, blitzing, or whatever it may be up the middle. They came right up the middle, straight up. And that center is everything at that point. You don't only have to be a beast. You got to be smart. You got to be quick. You got to be able to read what's going on. You got to be a quarterback of that offensive line. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm upset. I'm not upset as Garrett Webster is, but I feel bad for him and his family flying back from Florida, Miami, going all the way back up to where he lives in the North Midwest with that on their back. And that family, what their father been through. And now, not looking for the sob story because of the mental illness that his father went through, because it is sad, but it's not the point. But on the other side of that is he went through hell to be great, for others to be great, for others to win, for others to succeed, but you don't give them credit. You don't recognize the position. How about that? Just the position itself. I'm not speaking directly for Garrett Webster. I'm repeated what he said, and it bothers him because his great father, great football player, Mike Webster. But to ignore the center position, 100 greatest all-time players in the NFL. Sad. Very sad. NFL, you need to explain yourself. You need to explain this and explain why that quote came out of one of your representatives. Outrageous. What do you think about that? Is it fair to say? I got comments coming in. I got to talk to you about it too. Juan says, so that the NFL rep should be slapped or fired. Juan Otero, yeah. I don't know if he's representing, I don't know where, but I believe Garrett Webster would never have said anything like this unless he was upset. Now, does that representative represent everybody, or is that how they looked at the actual voting, or how did they decide on that, right? I mean, even if it wasn't directly decided by those in that room, say, okay? Think of this. To ignore that position on the NFL field, to ignore that position is just mind-boggling. And to get that quote from what Juan is referring back to by a representative of the NFL at the banquet yesterday for the NFL All 100 team dinner, centers, the center position, didn't do a lot for the game. I think every player has done a lot. Every position has done a lot for the game of football. But this representative of the NFL precisely said centers didn't do a lot for the game. Embarrassing. You know, the glory and all that stuff that you hear all week long, this needs to be told. needs to be spoken. If you care about the game and you care about everybody else out there, the ones who are suffering mentally, physically, who are legends of the game too, didn't do enough, didn't do anything, or didn't do whatever for the game, like irrelevant. Is that what you're telling a family that their father was irrelevant or he wasn't good enough to be a 100 guy? But he's a four-time Super Bowl champ. I mean, if you want to even go back to that, talk to Franco and Rocky Blyer, Lynn Swan, John Stallworth, Terry Bradshaw, and you ask them all on that dynasty team about Mike Webster. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Is that Sue? Sue says, thank you for reporting the affront to Mike Webster. Oh, that's okay, Sue. I appreciate that. I didn't know you were going to watch today, but it bothers me, and I know it bothers you. If you want to say more about it, too, go ahead, Sue. I appreciate it. Mike Webster, and the other time, the all-time NFL centers, the NFL Y family outrage over this. Oh, Sue, there's your comment. So Sue Brody comes out. I noticed her yesterday too. She elaborated a little bit on the comments. So thank you for joining in, Sue. So now the wives, all the wives, as she puts it, the NFL wife family, the outrage, the centers, that position, the wives of their husbands who played the center position, being irrelevant. Okay, can you at least have somebody represent the center position as one of the all-time number 100 greatest players? At least give representation. But when you just ignore the entire position itself, it's not just to say, well, here's the participation award, because this is not about a participation award. Far from that. These men had to come home beat up every Monday, Tuesday in their fifth, sixth year when the body's battling, dealing, and then the mental stress. And then beyond the mental that these wives have to go through. And then you ignore the center position. The NFL, you got a lot of explaining to do. Now, some people say it's only a game and things like that. But when the families go through a career through their father, through their husband, through their son, and see what they go through, and they give their all, and they battle, and they have multiple mental, physical issues, and you make them out to be irrelevant. That is one quote that we got. But it's strong. And it's reason to believe it's, put it this way, there's no representation of the center position. If somebody said to, say, Garrett Webster, who was confused why no center was being represented on the screen, just wanted to know. Garrett, he loves his father. He's going to speak up. He walks up to somebody in the NFL, asked them that question. Again, I'm going to repeat it for the third, fourth time for the newbies. The response he got, centers didn't do a lot for the game. Now that's like, if they said something like, we consider them, it was hard, there was a lot of great players, and they did the generic politic way. But this is pretty blatant, straight out saying irrelevant. And there's no way a center is irrelevant. Nobody's irrelevant when you play the game. Nobody's irrelevant at all. But to say didn't do a lot for the game, they gave their life. And sadly, Mike Webster's life, you could say the cause, the effect of playing in the NFL with massive mental health issues that he no longer with us because of it. He is the he is the one person that people go to. Wasn't there a movie about this? Wasn't there a movie about this? Yes. It wasn't like Mike Webster was unhealthy from the day of birth. The game of football. The game of football. The sport, the NFL, which continues to try to make sure the mental health issues and the safety of the player are a big issue. You slap a family and families in the face without any representation. Do you understand that there is constant head to head contact with helmets as an offensive lineman going up against a defensive lineman? Do you realize back in those days, using your head was a weapon, was a way to take your opponent in front of you off his mark, get him off step, get him off balance? The head slap to the helmet that Deacon Jones did, where they would just whack you in the head by the ear, right by the temple, and knock you out, get you dizzy, knock you off. Those were there were no rules for that. That was that era. Didn't do a lot for the game. Unfortunately, this person, whoever said it, doesn't do a lot for the NFL. And if this is what he's representing, and this is the case, which it is said, it's been said, the NFL better find a political way to say this right. But the damage is done. More comments about this. It's my big topic of going into Super Bowl weekend. Everybody is talking about, the other crap, but this is real life stuff. It's not just like the fact that it's a position only. It's the irrelevance that they're making, that this the blood, the sweat, the hurt that these men go through and their families go through. It's a slap in their face. It's a slap in their face. Gosh, I have so many people I want to say hi to. Thank you, Sue, for popping in there. Juan says centers always recognize the blitz, an overload to the left, to the right. Right, here we go. This is it. His quarterback to change protections at the line of scrimmage and the ball. I mean, we didn't even. That wasn't physical. That was the mental. That was the quarterback of the offensive line. Great job, Juan. Great comments. Great comments. Coming strong, Robert. Wow, never thought of that. But you're absolutely correct. This is Robert Casilla. Centers are the center of football. That's why they call it, Robert, and you knew it. Absolutely. Irrelevant. Didn't do a lot for the game. Wow, that's crazy, he says. Done a lot for the game for football. Felix, gotta go. I'm moving on right now, but can get ready for the Super Bowl. Felix is all pumped up. I love that. Yeah, we're going to celebrate and watch the game and see who wins. I got a comment coming in that says, Mike Webster, great center. It's a shame the NFL didn't recognize that and should be on the list, period. I do agree with that. I think Mike Webster is one of those like unglorified positions, but should be considered in the top, not even the top, like the top 50 for what he was able to, what he did. But he represents everything about an offensive line and what they go through. They play injured. Like, didn't do a lot for the game, but I had my knees wrapped up, took painkillers. You know what I'm saying? It's like my shoulder was stretched. I got torn something in my other arm, but I was able to snap the ball and get back and block for Franco Harris or, somebody who was a center in the game of football. Amazing. I got to talk to a lot of people now. I'm gonna bring this back Monday. I'm gonna do my homework more. I'm gonna add people. I'm gonna try to get somebody on the. I'm gonna try to get Louis Sharp on it to talk about it because he's an offensive lineman. He appreciates his fellow linemen, the camaraderie, the team, the family that he talked about when you play the offensive line, and how relevant it is. How relevant it is. The offensive linemen admire a guy like a Mike Webster. He wasn't 6'5", and what the he was a beast. But for his size, from Chuck Noll liked he thought about a lower leverage, lower gravity offensive lineman was able to block better in the NFL, and it worked. He was right. But Mike Webster was beyond that. He was athletically a freak of nature for his size, up against big guys. His career was long. That's the other thing about it. He lasted that long dealing with his problems later in his career and then post career. So he lasted a long time in a brutal spot with legs getting twisted and constant helmet to helmet contact. Think about that. Ball snap, guy lunges at you to get past you, and you're getting hit. It's a physical, defensive, offensive line type of game. But irrelevant. Yep. NFL said irrelevant. All right. I'll try to move on. If you want to, reach out to Garrett Webster. I don't know if he cares. He's such a grounded guy. His father did play also with the Kansas City Chiefs in his last few years and did very well. I mean, very well. I believe he actually played with Joe Montana and guys like that. So it was a very special time for him to be down there in Miami. The Chiefs and people like that. So one last time, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to get into the rant. So Garrett Webster was at the NFL all-time 100 team dinner banquet. He was representing his family, himself. They were down there in Miami. They flew down there, and looking at the screens, he posted that every player that made it all time were on the screen all over this big banquet room. And he posted photographs of all the players that were among the 100 greatest players of all time, the greatest players. And if you look and you notice, there's a group of players, he says, missing. The only group of players missing, the centers position. So he walked up and brought it up to someone who works for the NFL. His reaction was, the NFL rep, centers didn't do a lot for the game. That's why. To the son who loved his dad, he spoke loudly and represented not only just for his father in the position of the center position, but the game of football for everybody else whose family, his father or husband and wife, whatever, played the position. Garrett got pissed off. I don't know what he said to him. I would love to hear more, but I'm going to leave it alone. Garrett will probably say more or not. I love Garrett. He's been on the show and great stories about his dad and everything too. But he was pissed off. He dropped a bunch of F-bombs on his post, and that's because he was expressing it, and rightly so. He's disgusted. That's what he said. Effing BS. Hashtag NFL. And he has every right to feel that way. Every right. Every right. How does a family member look at? God, I thought I was going to stop. How does a family member look at the NFL right now when your father or husband or son, brother, is ignored, or the position is ignored, and you hear this? How do you look at the NFL now? Do you lose that passion, that love? Do you feel irrelevant? Knowing that what your father or what they went through at that position. All right, moving on. I appreciate you guys dealing with my little rant there. A lot of explaining to do. You're exactly right, Todd. Okay, let me regroup. All right, trash talkers, NFL trash talkers for the Super Bowl week. Here we go. I talked about it. Jimmy Ward spoke out about how they're going to deal with the speedy receivers of the Chiefs, how they're going to be physical, and how they're going to take them out, and kind of putting out some warning flags, throwing it at them. Maybe saying you guys can't deal with the physical style of play. Then you had Clark, linebacker of the Chiefs, throwing out some stuff saying you've never seen basically me before. Never seen a pass rusher like me before. You haven't faced a guy like me all year long. Throwing it out there at the offensive line and the offense of the 49ers. That was the only few little talk out there. And then yesterday, D Ford, on Trash Talking, talked about, well, you got to remember, he's the one that was offside. He's the one that cost the Chiefs from going to the Super Bowl last year against the Patriots. He says he's going to try to avoid the trash talking. He's going to do it with my pads and my cleats. That's what he says. He says, but Mr. Clark himself, for the Chiefs, pass rusher, says, I don't know anything about him. But Clark's the one to replace D Ford, by the way. Very interesting. D Ford goes to the 49ers. Clark joins the Kansas City Chiefs from a year ago. But Clark throwing some trash back out there. So I don't know nothing about him. I couldn't name a stat. I don't know the school he went to. I just know he had lined up offside. And anybody who lined up offside at a time like that in the AFC Championship game, late in the game or last minutes of the game, I feel like there's a dumb penalty at the end of the day. I'm sure he feels the same way. Personally, I've lined up offside myself, but not in that type of a situation. In any situation. That's something that shouldn't happen. So Clark, the pass rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs, who replaced D Ford, who D Ford lined up offside. When the game was over, the Chiefs were going to the Super Bowl. It was a 4th down play. But an offside gave the Patriots a 1st down because he was lined up offside. So Clark taking some shots. Here's the trash talking. This is what I like. I want some spice for this game. This game was lacking a lot of spice. It's too soft. It's too kissy. This is a Super Bowl. It's too soft. Actually, the whole Super Bowl week has been a bore. It's been a boring Super Bowl week. Until a little trash talking we're talking about. So Ford was asked on Wednesday, D Ford, about Clark's comments. His response was, I don't think anything about it. My response is no response. I mean, what can he say? He lined up offside. Now, for D Ford, don't get any penalties. For Clark, don't line up offside and get a penalty in the Super Bowl. That would be ironic. Furthermore, D Ford said some people do it, some people don't, meaning trash talking. I choose to talk with my pads and my cleats. Well, that's the only response he could have and can have. I love that. All right, more conversation about this Super Bowl itself. I got more coming in. And this is now the breakdown. We want to break down this game. Okay? Here are the sleepers and the matchup of Super Bowl 54. Sleepers, matchups, too much focus on Tyreek Hill. We focused on him. His speed is dynamic. He has world-class speed. He runs over 20 miles per hour, this guy, when he has the ball in his hand. They won't catch him if he has open, free space. Is there too much focus on Tyreek Hill and not the other wide receivers that are good, that have had had a great season? Look for the other receivers. Even Kelsey, the tight end, will get a lot of attention. It's going to be the others that got to step up, make the catch, make the plays. The other one for the Kansas City Chiefs is Damian Williams and Darwin Thompson. The running backs, Damian Williams, good running back. If he gets going and the running game going for the Chiefs, then the offense is going to roll for Kansas City. Going to roll. But if focusing so much on getting to the quarterback or controlling the offensive line, then you got to worry about somebody else. Kelsey, the tight end, who lines up in the slot as more than any tight end this past season, has caught more passes in the slot position, wide out, than any tight end. That's going to create more issues in this linebackers with the secondary. So there's a lot of weapons. There's a lot of choices for Kansas City. They're going to have to rely, the 49ers, on that defensive line. If that defensive line is maintained, if that defensive line is stabilized, then the Niners got a problem. I'm sure they're going to have moments. I'm sure they're going to get a sack here and there, but you have to be constant, consistent. Can they dominate? They say they can dominate. They've proven they can dominate. But there's ways to offset that. A guy like Damian Williams, when a linebacker has to cover Kelsey, who's covering Damian Williams out of the backfield? Or Darwin Thompson, say. Who's covering these guys out of the backfield? It's got to be a linebacker. Or it's got to be maybe a defensive end that recognizes it. So now you got them off thinking that the Niners got a lot to worry about. A lot. Because the Chiefs have multiple choices to score, to move the ball, to complete passes, and they'll run the football. And if they get it going, it's because the 49ers are a little concerned about that passing game. For Mahomes, here's a huge stat for Mahomes. Huge. Patrick Mahomes, from what I understand, from what I've read, has never lost a game more than 7 points. Think about that for Sunday. Think about that if you're a betting person on the game. Mahomes is going to keep his team in the game. There is talk that this is going to be a blowout. There is talk like the Niners are the team that will most likely blow out the Chiefs. But Mahomes has never lost a game more than 7 points. So how is this going to be a blowout? If you're going to go by history, there's always a first time. Put that in your back pocket about Mahomes. Even when they're behind, he can find a way to get back into it. The other key factor is Tyrann Mathieu of the Chiefs. These are the Chiefs matchup sleepers. He has to have a great game. He has to be reckless and crazy and all over the field. Can Tyrann Mathieu have an all-pro Pro Bowl game? Gonna need it. And there's one more thing that I have to bring up. The Kansas City Chiefs offensive line versus the 49ers defensive line. This has been the biggest matchup talk favoring the 49ers all week long. And I have to give you something. I have to give you some numbers here. Okay? Big numbers. Do you realize that the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line leads the league in one statistic that is huge, that is big, that is so relevant for Sunday that it may be the biggest difference? Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, is concerned about the size and the speed of the Chiefs wide receivers. It's a fast team. And the only way that's going to work for the Chiefs is the offensive line doing its job. I'm going to read you some numbers here. I'm going to talk about next generation stats. The Chiefs offensive line has the best in the league at holding their blocks in the first 3 seconds of any pass play. Think about that. On a pass play, 3 seconds they can hold. They're the best in the NFL. Going up against a defensive line that has all this credibility and everybody just saying it's so dominant, but nobody's talking about this. If you give Mahomes 3 seconds, he's going to find somebody. You give Mahomes 4 seconds, it can get really bad for the Niners. Now, that's not to say that the Chiefs are going to hold 3 seconds for every pass play, but consistently holding it and doing their job and doing what they've been doing 3 seconds or less, holding their block, then the 49ers defensive line may be stabilized when it comes to that. According to hurry probability model, the Chiefs offensive line is expected to allow a hurry, not a hit, not a sack, but a hurry, 9% of dropbacks within 3 seconds. 9%. So for every 10 throws or dropbacks, every time Mahomes goes back to pass every 10 times, only one time he'll get hurried. That's that stat. 9%. That's incredible. If that holds, literally holds up, that Niner defensive line going to have to find other ways to get to the quarterback. Are you willing to risk a blitz with Kelsey, the tight end? Are you willing to risk a cornerback blitz? You may get away with it once. It could be a big play. But it's got to be consistent. And how long can they hold the Chiefs' offensive line? How long can they hold off that Niner defense, that Niner pass rush, that Niner run defense? I think that's a very intriguing stat that nobody's talking about. And when Saleh, the defensive coordinator, is worried about the speed of those wide receivers in Kansas City, if you give 3 seconds to Mahomes, bad things are going to happen in 3 seconds for the 49ers. Not only bad things, Mahomes himself, and I'll talk about the 49ers in a minute. This is not all about the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, by throwing the football, has thrown 13 touchdown passes, 20 yards or more. 8 times he's thrown a touchdown pass, 30 yards or more. And 3 times he has thrown the ball for a touchdown, 40 yards or more. So that is 24 times he has thrown the ball over 20 yards in the air for a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes. The big play is there. The big play is going to happen for the Chiefs. If it happens more than once or twice, bad news for the Niners. The Niners need to protect the big play. And by doing that is by blocking at the front. I mean, getting after the quarterback, the line of scrimmage. I don't know who wins this game. Or do I, in my head? I love a lot about the Chiefs, and there's some really integral parts to it that really can cause a lot of problems for that Niner defense that has yet to see an offense like this. This could be a very high-scoring game. This could be that Saints 49ers game from a few months ago that was way in the 40s. More about this game and more about the Chiefs, and then we'll get into the 49ers. Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is number 1 in the league as a slot wideout tight end. He's number 1 in the league in receptions that way. It's going to cause a lot of havoc. A lot. More news about this game. Besides Patrick Mahomes completing 25 touchdown passes, number 1 in the league, over 20 yards. That pass defense of the 49ers is number 1 rank in what? Allowing the least amount of deep thrown balls. A lot of it's because of that pass rush. If that pass rush does not get to the quarterback, if that pass rush of the 49ers does not break through that 3-second stronghold that the Chiefs do so well on the offensive line, they are number 1 in the league holding their block on every pass 3 seconds or less. And 3 seconds is a lot. But the Chiefs do a good job. I mean, the 49ers do a good job statistically getting after the quarterback. Their secondary has great numbers, but a lot of it is because of the front, the guys up front. If the guys up front for the 49ers do not have a good game or it's average, the Chiefs are going to score. And it's not going to be what you think. I don't know. The 49ers may just come up and just be more than great, physically outdo it, and create havoc, and Mahomes is in trouble a lot. That's always possible. The other part for the 49ers is get out of the gates early, get ahead of the game, get up by 2 scores, hold on to it, force the Chiefs to throw the ball, get them off their game plan of a balanced attack. So you know that the Chiefs have to throw the ball to get back in the game. That is every coach, every player's dream in every game because it's so much easier. And that's where the 49ers defense, I believe, gets a lot of their statistical numbers up. Now, that is a full effort on both sides of the ball for the team, for the 49ers. And to get to that point, that means as a team, they've done great. And then they have the next level with that pass rush. The Chiefs need to avoid getting in that situation. It plays into the 49ers' strength. Most teams like that situation. Most teams. All right, more about this game. For the 49ers. For the 49ers have to worry about Kelsey, right? Can their speedy linebackers cover Kelsey? I believe they can. But can they cover him one-on-one? Kelsey's not just a Brutus tight end. He's finessed. He knows how to get open. He knows how to create space. He's got great hands. The linebackers of the 49ers may be the biggest part of this defense on Sunday, not that defensive line. It actually may be those linebackers who have to cover the tight end, who have to cover the running back, who have to do the right blitz at the right time, have to help and stop the run. It may just be those linebackers. And if they do not have a good game, that short part of the field within 20 yards is going to be exposed for Mahomes. I believe the Niners' speed will compensate for any weakness or issues that they're going to face. It's going to be a heck of a game. The Chiefs secondary covering a very diverse wide receiver corps of the 49ers is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a big challenge. Everybody gets involved on that 49er offense. Everybody catches a football. It's not just one or two guys. Everybody. That stretches you out. And then you got that running game. Can that running game get going for the 49ers? Everybody talks about how that running game is the focal point of their offense, and it is. They feed off of it. But they're good enough, even without it, to score. They're good enough to win. But it's not their strength. It's not what they want. They want to run the ball. They want to expose that secondary of the Kansas City Chiefs. Garoppolo will have a good game. Garoppolo is a very good quarterback. Garoppolo can easily throw 4 touchdown passes. Mahomes may throw 5, right? I mean, it could be one of those games. The one thing about Garoppolo, every time I watch his games, he is really good, but he has like a brain fart moment. He throws some bad passes. He throws in some coverages, or his throws are not on time, or his throws are behind, or his throws are just not strong enough. Like something is not, and he has all the time in the world sometimes. It's not like he's being rushed or pressured. There's something there that he has made mistakes, and he's gotten away with it. There have been multiple times I've watched defensives drop interceptions that Garoppolo has thrown to them but they've dropped them. I believe it's going to happen again. I think Garoppolo is going to throw the ball, and there's going to be opportunities for a Chiefs team to make the interception. The Chiefs better make those catches. They better catch that interception. If you don't, you just let them off the hook, and Garoppolo will continue to get back and have another great 10 throws in a row, score a touchdown or two. But that one moment, 2 plays could be big for field position, defensive touchdowns. I believe Garoppolo's throwing an interception. It's not like it's low probability. I think it's a high probability. But don't be surprised if there's 2. I believe Garoppolo throws the INT. I believe he's been protected by that running game and protected by the play action that it feeds right into him. But when it's on his back, he can still do the job. But he throws the interception. His numbers aren't high throwing interceptions. But he throws it. They're there, but for whatever reason, the other team keeps dropping the ball. And I've watched a lot of Niner games. The worst nightmare for a 49er fan is that those passes that he throws end up being intercepted. And then it becomes bad. But if it doesn't, or if Garoppolo has a clean game, wow, the Niners are going to look good. It's going to be really hard. I believe the Chiefs' defense is an underrated defense. I believe they have a pass rush better than ever before. They have really good linebackers. Their biggest test is to control that line of scrimmage. Control the line of scrimmage on defense, just like the 49ers defense. That's where the game's going to be won, or it's going to be momentum, the advantage, right? But there is another factor that concerns me if you're a Chief fan. Kittle, their tight end, San Francisco's tight end. He's good. He's very good. Just like Kelsey, can those linebackers of the Chiefs handle Kittle? Run with him. Get physical with him. Keep him out of the game, or make him not part of the big part of the game. But you have to worry about the running game. So how are you going to worry about the running game and worry about Kittle? It's a big task. Now, which team's going to blitz more? They're all going to throw a package here and there. Which team goes man-to-man coverage? I think they're all going to go pretty man-to-man straight up for the most part. There's too many options out there. But adjustments from a man-to-man to cover twos, because you're going to have to worry about Kelsey. You're going to have to worry about a Kittle, the tight end. They're the best in the game. They're the focal point, in my eyes, of the Super Bowl. Not the running game, not the pass rush. It's the tight end. Not the quarterbacks. It's the tight end. They are in the middle of the field. They get down the field. They can go deep down the field. They can go short, and they block. Kittle not only is a great catching tight end, he's an excellent blocker. He blocks extremely well for a tight end. They say the best in the game. So the Niners and Kittle, they better have a good game. Kittle better have a game like a Kittle game. The running game, I like the Niners a lot. But then I backpedal and go, well, wait a minute. How? The Niners are relying on a pass rush that can get stabilized. And then they got Mahomes, who not only can throw the ball deep and short, he can get out of the pocket. And if he gets out of the pocket, he can throw very well. He can run, take off, and that can be huge. But who's going to follow him? Is anybody going to shadow that when you have to shadow a Kelsey? Now, Garoppolo isn't Mahomes. He's okay in the pocket. He can get out of the pocket. He's not super slow, but that's not his game. It's not Garoppolo's game. And I feel like the Niners offense is structured to where it's pretty obvious. Run the ball, play action, and then over the top. Or get behind the linebackers with their throws. They'll do a lot of dink and dunk, but their core is that running game and their play action. They feed off of that. If that's not there, then where do they go? And where are the struggles for the Niners? And if they get behind, if the 49ers get behind, then what happens to their running game? What happens if they have to throw the ball? Garoppolo can have great numbers throwing the ball, but I do know he's throwing an interception. He's throwing one. I'm feeling like he's throwing two. It doesn't mean they're losing the Super Bowl because he throws it. It just says that I know he throws some bad. He has some bad throws in him. He really does. Every game, he throws a bad one or two. And a lot of times they're not intercepted. And I've talked about that. All right. More comments coming in. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. We got Denise. We got Cecilia in the house. We have Cindy in the house. Todd says, my friend who? Steph? Oh, Stephanie's in the house. Dan, Don, Brendan Grady in the house. Victoria, go Chiefs, she says. Chris Farina, go Chiefs. Jake, Victoria, Gary Harmon in the house. Dana, Michael, Michelle. All right. Wow. Okay. Where do we go next with this? Got more comments coming in? All right. One more comment. Oh, hey, Cindy. How are you? All right. So who's going to win the Super Bowl? I did a polling yesterday, and 60 to 40% says the Chiefs. I don't know if that's because you don't like the 49ers. It's just people just want to see the Chiefs win. Is it an Andy Reid effect because Andy Reid has never won before, and he's got a chance as a great coach to finally get his Super Bowl? It's like the Bill Cowher, like getting there once and getting close a bunch of times, but never getting that trophy. Are we going to watch an Andy Reid, Bill Cowher moment, right, on Sunday? That will be a big story, be a huge story. And who is going to be the unspoken hero right now? Who is the unspoken hero? And who becomes the big star of the game? Is it going to be a Dexter Jackson of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with his interceptions against the Raiders in the Super Bowl that got him a big contract and we never saw him again? He bounced around the NFL. Didn't he play for the Cardinals too? But he got his contract. A lot of guys with good games are going to get good contracts out of this. You win the Super Bowl, that's part of your resume. Go into a team, you could get more money out of that. I would ask for more money. There is one player on that offensive line for the San Francisco 49ers. His name is Mike Person. He's an offensive lineman. Great story. But as I read it, I was like, oh, this is a great story. Good for him. I'm happy for him. But is he really that good, or what's going on here? And could this be a weak link or the strength of the San Francisco 49ers offensive line, which is a good one? They're healthy. They got some big boys up there. But Mike Person was cut 3 times by 3 different teams. And now he's in the Super Bowl. Okay, 2012, he was cut by the 49ers. 2013, the Seahawks. 2016, the Falcons. And now he's with the 49ers. Maybe he has grown into a great player, solid player. It took him time. Is that a link that is weak, or is that a strong because he's better? But it's a good story. There's a lot of stories, a lot of players who do not have a hard time staying on a roster. And there's a few of them playing in the Super Bowl. Mike Person was one of those guys. Very well could have been out of the game the way things were going. could not stay on a roster. And now he's starting in the Super Bowl. He's the right guard of the San Francisco 49ers. The right guard. All right. More about this game. More integral parts about this game. Let me roll through this a little bit. Okay. So you have this great 49er defensive line that really is the best in the game. Their front four. It is so good. And we talked about the 3 seconds. How in 3 seconds the Chiefs hold off their block or hold on their block or are the best in the league. The best in the league holding off the pass rush for 3 seconds. Stefan Wisniewski, the left guard of the Kansas City Chiefs, has had a really nice season. He came over to the Chiefs late in the year, or took over after week 16. And the numbers of that 3 second holding your block on a pass for the Chiefs, the best in the league, got even better with him at left guard. Now, who is playing left? Who's playing defensive line? Who's the left end? Right? Who's on that left side of that defensive line of the San Francisco 49ers? Here it is. I'm going to break it down for you. D Ford, Nick Bosa, Sheldon Day, Solomon Thomas. Those guys will find themselves on the left side. Not only that they have one player in Wisniewski who is having playing great at left guard, playing great. There's a left tackle, the left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. That may be Eric Fisher, just may be the best offensive tackle, left tackle in the game. So now you have Eric Fisher, Stephen Wisniewski playing left guard, and you got these two guys that are not getting any credit, and deservedly so they should, going up against a defensive line and Bosa and D Ford and Solomon and all these guys that you're hearing about, Sheldon Day, right? You got Buckner, you got Armstead. Who knows if they rotate up defensive line and mix it up? But they're going to face that fierce defensive line of the San Francisco 49ers. I would have to say they got more than what they're bargaining for or what people are talking about, the 49ers. Fisher is a really good offensive tackle. Huge, good, maybe great. And maybe on Sunday, we'll find out he gets the recognition of how great he is. He can have if he has one of those great games, his status, his everything goes up. Going up against the best in the league, I would think this is going to be a great matchup on the offensive line for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are underrated with their offensive line. I truly believe that. I don't know who wins the majority of the battles. I don't. But the speed of this game, the physicality of the game, there's so much of it. We're going to go back to the speed. Both these teams are the fastest teams in the league when they carry the ball. The Chiefs are averaging 13 miles per hour, and so are the the 49ers on an average. Now, the Chiefs have more speed at the top end of that stat. Tyreek Hill is the fastest guy in the league. Guy runs over 20 miles per hour. He runs over 20 miles per hour. Good luck with that if he gets the ball in his hand. But this is a game that speed and utilizing and attacking with the speed that you have is another big integral part of Super Bowl 54. Both these teams are 1 and 2 in that category, followed by the Rams, Vikings, Ravens. The average speed in the league is 12.9. The Chiefs are 13.4, and the 49ers are 13.3 or 4. It's slightly less than the Chiefs. So speed with the ball in your hand, ball carriers, running backs, running the ball. Jimmy Garoppolo, again, needs to limit the turnovers and just run the ball. Limit the turnovers. Pay attention to Jimmy Garoppolo. Turnovers and fumbling, too. More about this game. Tevin Coleman of the Niners, who dislocated, separated his shoulder in that Packer victory 2 weeks ago. They say he's ready to go. He's ready to play for Super Bowl Sunday. Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, said he's good to go. I don't know if he's 100%, but he's good to go. And he's got to go. They need the balanced attack. We'll find out about Tevin Coleman's health and how much he's being used. Doesn't mean he's going to get a lot of playing time, but we don't know until he gets on the field and we see if Tevin Coleman and that Mostert is the running back. And more fun numbers about Super Bowl 54. If you're wondering about the numbers, the statistics of this game, points for and points against, the Chiefs are averaging 30 points a game, and the 49ers are averaging 30 points a game. Patrick Mahomes, in his 4 playoff games that he's played in, the Chiefs have scored 30 points. Or they're averaging 30 points. Passing yards, both teams, the Chiefs are averaging 284, the 49ers 220. Running the football, the 49ers are leading that category, 154 to the Chiefs 100. So you see why the Chiefs like to throw the ball, but they use the running game. 100 yards a game running the ball is really good. That's enough balance for your passing attack. For the 49ers, running the football is their focal point. Averaging 150 a game helps their passing game, which is only averaging 220. So that alone tells you a lot about how each team wants to use their offense. Third down conversions. They're almost identical here. The Chiefs are at 48%, while the 49ers are at 44, 45%. In the red zone, the Chiefs, 59%. They're really good at it. 59%. 49ers, 54%. Very good. Chiefs, a little bit better. Points overall in the red zone. Chiefs, 20 points averaging, while the 49ers are averaging 20 points in the red zone. 19 points. Basically, they're even in the red zone. Passing yards overall in the red zone. 227 yards for the Chiefs, 174 yards for the 49ers. Rushing yards overall in the red zone, 123 to 104. Third down defense, percentages, giving up third downs. The Chiefs are giving up 36%, or 6%, I'm sorry, mistake there. They've given up 36 overall third down plays, which is at a rate of 6%. Not a lot. For the 49ers, they're at 32.4%. Both basically are, well, let's correct that. I missed my decimal. The 49ers are better on third down conversion, 32.4%. The Chiefs are giving up 36.6%. I'm reading this wrong. My apology. Both of them doing pretty good. Their defenses are finding ways to get you off the field. The Niners are better, 4% better. Red zone defense. Check this out. I got to read this one again. 52% giving up points in the red zone for the Chiefs. 61% red zone defense for the 49ers in the red zone. Turnover ratio, advantage, Chiefs at +8, 49ers a +7. All right. More too about this game. Um, the kickers are stuff. Don't worry about the field goal. They're pretty good. The punters are really good too. I don't think this is going to be a bad punting game or kicking game for both teams. I think they'll be fine. But one missed field goal could do a lot, means a lot. Let's update giveaways and takeaways. It's a +8 for the Chiefs, a +4 for the 49ers. And here's one big stat for the game that people don't want to talk about. They praise it, they glorify it, is that Kyle Shanahan has never been in a Super Bowl. His father has. He's been around the game long enough. Is that a big difference? Andy Reid has been in the Super Bowl, been around playoffs, been around pressure. What coach breaks under pressure? What coach makes the mistake? Sean McVay, the glorified coach of ever, of the greatest future coach of the NFL, dropped a big egg bomb, everything last Super Bowl where he was embarrassed, out-coached in Super Bowl 53. Now we got another brilliant, glorified head coach in Kyle Shanahan with his opportunity. There's a veteran on the other side of Andy Reid. Does the veteran coach outcoach the young rookie Super Bowl rookie coach, Kyle Shanahan? For the 49ers, this is their 7th Super Bowl appearance, first time since 2012. A win will tie them with the Steelers and the Patriots for 6 titles, Super Bowl titles. For the Chiefs, this is their 3rd appearance in the Super Bowl. They won it back in 1969, 50 years ago. They lost Super Bowl II, and they won Super Bowl IV. Andy Reid, his 2nd Super Bowl appearance, aiming for his 1st Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes can be the 2nd youngest quarterback all time to win a Super Bowl, behind Ben Roethlisberger. He is the 5th youngest all time to start in a Super Bowl. Is that a big factor? Is Mahomes able to? I think Mahomes is going to be fine. He's already played in big games. Even last year, he's going to be fine. So, inexperience, experience, does it really matter in this game? Will it matter? Will we find out? Will we find out who actually shows the inexperience of a Super Bowl on Sunday itself? Comments coming in. Yes, everybody's bored about Super Bowl week. I agree with you, Todd. I'm trying. I'm trying to bring it. I'm trying to bring it all to you. It's not easy. It's not easy. I would say it's probably one of the most boringest Super Bowl weeks in a long time. I think Super Bowl hype week is done. I think it's over with. I don't believe it's that important. You may just have to eliminate 2 weeks. I don't know if they will do that, but it just seems like it's just a celebration week for them. It almost feels like this is like Hollywood glorifying themselves, celebrating themselves all week long during Super Bowl week. This is how I look at it. And I don't think I'm wrong. I believe I'm absolutely correct in that manner. I really do. All right. Let me see. What else we got here before we say goodbye to you? The Kansas City Chiefs sending their entire staff and family to the Super Bowl. That's a nice thing. I think that's done more than not. Most overrated appetizer or food for a Super Bowl. Do you have one? Okay, let me know. Also, quarterbacks representing the AFC in the last, since 2003, other than Big Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady, only Joe Flacco and now Patrick Mahomes are the only 2 quarterbacks to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl since 2003. It's been dominated by Brady Manning, and Roethlisberger. All right. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the Green Bay Packers are the all-time Super Bowl, no, NFL champions. They have 13 NFL titles. That's more than any team. Super Bowl is the name of the championship game. It's the name for the NFL versus the, well, it was the NFL versus the AFL. Now it's the AFC versus the NFC. But they label it and they give it the title of Super Bowl. If you take off the Super Bowl, it's still one conference versus the other conference. The Packers have 13 of them. The Chicago Bears have 9. The New York Giants have 8. The Patriots and Steelers have 6. The 49ers, the Redskins, the Cowboys also have 5 championships. Championships, not just Super Bowls. Yes, the Detroit Lions have 4 NFL championships. The Baltimore Colts, Indianapolis Colts have 4 championships. The Cleveland Browns and the Philadelphia Eagles have 4 NFL championships. The Oakland Raiders, the Denver Broncos, and the Rams organization have 3 NFL championships. The Miami Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Arizona Cardinals have 2 NFL championships. And with one, the Chiefs, the Jets, the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Seattle Seahawks all have 1 NFL championship. That is a Super Bowl or an NFL championship throughout its 100 years. So let's celebrate all those teams, all those organizations of having an NFL championship. In the dark, without any championship whatsoever, the Chargers, the Texans, the Titans, the Jaguars, the Bengals, the Bills, the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Vikings. Out of all those teams I just mentioned that are in the dark without any championship, only a couple of them have never been to a Super Bowl. Jaguars, Texans. Jaguars and the Texans. There you have it, folks. If you wanted to know who are the real most glorified title town, it's the Green Bay Packers. We seem to forget that. Yes, the Arizona Cardinals have won championships. The Detroit Lions have won championships. All right, so we're going to end the show with this. Here we go. And then we'll have predictions Sunday or Monday, Friday, whatever I'm talking. All right, better to watch the game at a bar, at home, a casino, at a party, on the beach with your device, or maybe in the bedroom having sex. I mean, where is the most odd, strange, or different place you have watched a Super Bowl? The oddest place, the oddest location, a different, unique location. Were you camping somewhere? Were you skiing somewhere? Were you on a yacht or a boat? Were you on an airplane? Were you walking? Were you on a train? Like, give me something if you know something. I'd like to know about it. Because we get really fixated on a lot. Okay, I've done the bar. I've done the thing at home. I've done the party thing. I've done the casino thing a few times. I like going to the casino. Just the environment is really good because you get not just like a bar crowd, you get a casino crowd. It's the energy is different, especially when you're in Vegas. It just it's loud. It's like you're in a stadium. It's pretty cool. So if you ever get that experience, go for that. I reminded people earlier in the show, and I'll do it again, is my only odd thing that happened was when I was playing CYO basketball in Brooklyn. It's a Catholic youth organization. I was in I think the 8th grade, and I had to play a big basketball game, and it was on Super Bowl Sunday of all days. Like today, you would never schedule an event on Super Bowl Sunday, but back then, it is what it was and was what it is, right? And my dad was in the back behind the basket, standing there watching me. But there was a little room, like a TV room, TV little lounge room inside the gym, right behind the basket, like the baseline. It was there, and the game was on the TV set. and I really wanted to watch the Super Bowl. It was the Cowboys versus the Steelers, Super Bowl 13. And here I was running up and down the court, having a good game, but my mind was distracted by the Super Bowl. And every time I ran down the court where my dad was standing, I would always ask him for the score, who has the ball, where was the ball at, who's winning, who's having a good game. Like I was getting updates from my dad, trying to focus on a basketball game. um, but it was only for the first half. We were able to get out of there by halftime, get home by halftime, and watch the second half of Super Bowl 13. So that was kind of odd. That was a different moment. I mean, you may have something like that too. I hope it's not at a hospital with a bad situation, unfortunate situation, but that's also very possible. Okay. I don't want to hear that you're in a Starbucks doing it. That sounds like, do better than that. But then again, you could be on a business trip and you need something done. I don't know. Maybe you're in Italy somewhere watching the Super Bowl. Maybe you're somewhere around the world watching the Super Bowl. Very possible. That would be cool to hear. Tell me what you think before we head out. I heard a few of them already. Um, some people like to sit home and just make a big meal and enjoy themselves. One of these days, I'm going to have a big Super Bowl bash at the house. Just go for it. I always think about it and I never do it. I never do it. Comments coming in, and we're going to wrap it up on this Friday, a good Friday. It's the Friday before the Super Bowl. The party scene in Miami is gone bonkers. Bonkers. You got to love it. You got to love the scene in Miami. It's fantastic. The club scenes are great. The weather's great. People are having a good time, and you got to be happy from Kansas City. It's been cold. It's winter. You got to love the fact that you're in Miami enjoying yourself. I think you do. I believe you do. All right. I'm going to say hi, and then we'll say goodbye, all right? Let me see what we got here. Victoria says, NCAA Vegas. That was fun, too, she says. Victoria, you've been to some Super Bowls, too, so you know the scene. Todd says, friend's house, nothing but normal stuff. Steven, Offering, how you doing, buddy? Cindy Yazzie in the house. Todd says, okay, stop by Redskins facility. Kyle Shanahan, couldn't be there. It wasn't a public day, but he ran up, introduced himself, and shook my hand. Oh, that's nice. Kyle Shanahan. Thank you, Don. Enjoy your Super Bowl. What time is Super Bowl in the UK? Is it 3 o'clock in the morning you're going to watch the Super Bowl? What time is the Super Bowl in London again? I think you said 3 a.m. You got to get up and watch the Super Bowl that time. That's crazy, but you got to do it. If you're still there, let me know. Don, if you're still there. Right now, it's about, 5 o'clock or something like that in London, in the UK. Looking for more stories here. Looking for more and more. Any more before we head out? Church's Chicken. That's funny. Church's Chicken. All right. We're going to get out of here. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I believe it's like 3 o'clock in the morning in the UK or overseas in Europe, where it's like they have to get up just like we have to get up for the Olympics or World Cup soccer and things like that. We have to get up for that. It's 11:30 in the evening on your time. Okay. So it doesn't end until like 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what you said, right? I remember she talked about that. So she's going to be up all night watching the Super Bowl, knowing that she has to get to work the next day. Good luck to that, Don. I hope you get through it. If I don't see you on Monday on the show, then I know what happened. I know what happened. Yes, broadcasting from Miami, definitely. Yes, I appreciate it. Thanks, Victoria. All righty, so we have a lot of people. We have Jersey in the house. We got Brooklyn in the house. We got London, and we got Australia in the house. We even have Brazil in the house. I noticed somebody from the Middle East was watching the show, which is fantastic itself. I appreciate that. I love that. Absolutely love it. And all of you, enjoy your last football games of the season. It's Super Bowl 54. And my prediction, oh boy, this is going to be hard. But as I weigh all the options, I find that the Kansas City Chiefs have more options than the San Francisco 49ers. I believe the 49ers are structured well. They're a well-run machine. But if that machine gets thrown off, like I've seen before in Super Bowls, like I've seen before with great teams get off the mark because this is a great game, I believe the Chiefs have more options when something goes wrong or something is not working. If it's whatever it may be, they have other options. And I trust that Mahomes, who doesn't make a lot of mistakes or no mistakes, will have a better game than Garoppolo. And I believe the running game will be an even match. I don't believe the Niners running game will be that crazy dominant like you saw against the Green Bay Packers. It'll be effective, but so will the Kansas City Chiefs. Enough to help the passing game. So where do we go from there? They both have two great tight ends, which is going to cause havoc and disruption on the defensive side on both teams. So where do we go from there? Whose secondary can hold up? Going to be a challenge. I don't believe the Niners have that great of a secondary. I think it's good, but it's only good because of that defensive front line. And I can say the same thing for that Chiefs defensive front line. I believe the Chiefs defensive line is a good one. And take a look at a sleeper Terrell Suggs. Nobody talks about Terrell Suggs on his pass rush. Him and Clark and the others, they can bring it. And be careful. Offensive line, I think they're both good offensive lines. So where does it fall? The head coach, the quarterback. Right now, I'm giving the advantage to Andy Reid and Mahomes. That's why I believe that the Chiefs will win this game. And one more factor. Penalties, turnovers, and special teams. You got to win those battles over and over again in any game, in any sport. No matter what you do, eliminate mistakes, cause the other team to make mistakes. Those are advantages that you take advantage of. And scoring off of turnovers. You got to score. You get a turnover, you got to score points. I believe the Chiefs are better at that. They've been proving it all season long. But when it gets back to the nuts and bolts, I believe the Chiefs have more options than the 49ers. If the Niners running game is not as effective as they want it to be, then where do they go next? They'll hang in there. And Garoppolo will have to have an outstanding game. And if he does, then we all just applaud that. But it's not their ammo. It's not where they're set up. So you can focus, and a lot of teams have tried to focus on the 49ers and take away their strength. Yes, they've taken away their running game, or they tried to. They've tried to. And it doesn't work, or it hasn't worked, or it didn't work, or it hasn't been good enough. But then again, I saw teams in the NFL this past season that did a good job of stopping that Niner running game. I believe the Chiefs will do enough to slow it down, and Mahomes will do enough to win the game. I don't think it's Mahomes in everything. Like, he's the only thing that matters. And this is not a Super Bowl victory that Mahomes will win because it's Mahomes. Let's get that straightened out. Okay? That's not the reason. That's not the reason. All right. What else we got here before we say goodbye? Last comments, and then we'll take it off. We'll see you. Let me see here. That's it? Yeah, that's going to be it. All right, guys. I appreciate it. If you got your prediction in, good. Throw it in there. 60% of America is leaning on the Kansas City Chiefs. Be careful how you bet your game, because in Vegas, a lot of money is going to be put on the 49ers because of what? The 49ers get a lot of big influence from who? The Californians. And the big dollars are coming in. All right, guys, we'll talk to you Monday. We'll know who won the Super Bowl. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching Hanna Time on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. It's GSBN, Global Sports Broadcasting Network.com. We'll see you Monday morning. Facebook people, YouTube people, thank you so much for saying hi. I appreciate it. I love it. And let's have a good time. Watch the Super Bowl. We'll see you then, folks. All right, YouTube guys, we'll see you. We'll see you Monday.